Hi and welcome to Ultimate Mini. The brief for this project has been wonderfully simple: to find the perfect fast road Mini. It's got to handle well, that goes without saying, but it's also got to deliver a reasonably refined engine solution, as well as, of course, bags of power. Now, we could have chosen to bring along some race cars, but we haven't, because we didn't feel they'd give us the broad spectrum of talents we're looking for in a road car. So we've gathered together some of the UK's top fast road Minis, with power ranging from 80 brake horsepower to a frankly insane 400 brake horsepower. So buckle up as we find the UK's ultimate Mini. In the mix, we've got a performance classic in the form of this Mark III Cooper S. Two bike engine screamers, one with a 400 brake horsepower Hayabusa turbo engine. We've got big capacity A-series cars in the form of a 1380 and this amazing 1460 car. There's a turbocharged Mini with 225 brake horsepower, and that's an A-series. And then we've got a Honda VTEC Screamer. And to find out which works best, we've called in a driver who's been racing in the Mini 7 and Mini Miglia series for the last 20 years, winning no less than 3 championships in the process. It's Bill Solis.
Hello.
Hi Bill.
Hello Ian.
Good to see you.
And you.
Now we've got a weird and wonderful selection of cars to look at today. Shall we go and have a look at them?
Indeed.
Now of course you're more used to race cars. What is it you're looking for in a really good race-winning car?
The best overall package, obviously. So good engine, good handling, brakes, grip. It's all got to be right to make me faster than everyone else.
Of course. But of course we've got road cars today.
Yes.
How are they going to cope at Kerbera?
Well, Kerbera gives us a great environment in which to test the cars. They will, however, be working much harder than they're used to, of course, because there's lots of corners for not very much straight. So the brakes will be working hard, the tyres will be working hard, and overall they'll be very well examined, I think.
Yeah, good. Okay, well let's go and have a look at them and then you can get out and drive some.
Good.
Hi, I'm Bob Oliver, I'm from South Wales, and this is my Mini Cooper S, 1971, bought it new, restored it over a period of about 3 years. It's powered by its original A-series engine and produces about 80 brake horsepower at the flywheel.
Now this is the car that I think will set the benchmark for all the other performance Minis, and, I suspect, perform really well as a fully sorted fast road Mini. And that, after all, is what we're looking for here today. The Mark III Cooper S may be the least loved of the original Coopers with its concealed door hinges and wind-down windows, but when Bob bought his car new in 1971, the move to a Mark III body shell seemed perfectly logical. It's just a fantastically simple-looking machine, devoid of all the big wheels, pumped-up arches, and other later additions we've all got so accustomed to. While standard on the outside, on the inside, Bob's introduced a few subtle additions, such as the rev counter and ancillary gauges in front of the driver. In the engine bay, it's the same understated confidence. No chrome or glitz, just twin SUs feeding a really well-sorted Cooper S engine. Well, it looks as though Bill's instantly at home in this Cooper S. The original 1275cc A-series has been bought out to 1293 and rebuilt with original special tuning upgrades. It's regularly set up and adjusted on the rolling road and consistently produces figures of over 80 brake horsepower in readiness for Bob's occasional track days and more regular road thrashing. Unlike every other car we've got lined up for Bill to drive, this Mark III Cooper S is still running its original hydroelastic suspension. Not that it's standard, Early in the car's life, prior to the availability of adjustable suspension, Bob made up his own adjustable ride height for the rear of the car, which doesn't affect the performance of the hydroelastic suspension, but lowers the ride height slightly. It's worked perfectly ever since. It's going to be really interesting to see how Bill gets on with what will almost certainly be the least powerful car here. The Cooper S looks wonderfully balanced around Kerbera's tight and twisty circuit, and there's probably a good reason for that. There's no one factor here that's overpowering the car. The tyres are modest and therefore give loads of feel. The engine produces a good, strong delivery without vicious cams or serious fueling issues, and the suspension is just working perfectly. No doubt about it, looks as though Bill's really enjoying himself out there. Bill, that looked pretty entertaining. It's our benchmark car. How do you get on?
Fantastic. Lovely car to drive. Thoroughly enjoyed that.
Now, of course, this is our base car, but it looks as if you were pushing it fairly much out there.
Yes, it was encouraging me to do so. So was its owner, actually.
Yeah.
And I, you know, driving it within sensible limits. Yeah. But it's a beautifully balanced car. Very nice power delivery, smooth, drives right up through the box beautifully. Balanced brakes, lovely handling. Nose on steering, turning, great, absolutely fantastic.
But it's a hydroelastic car, and I think that's the only car we got here that's hydroelastic.
Yes, and you wouldn't actually know it.
Really?
It has dampers on the front to stop the front moving about too much. That works really well. It doesn't show itself.
Engine, of course, is equally the least powerful we've got here, 1275, or I think 1293.
Yes. That may well be the case, but the way the engine works is perfect. It gives nice, smooth, low-down power, progressive delivery, and so you can keep the momentum going very nicely indeed. I think it probably would exceed its performance expectations.
So we thought this was going to be a base car, but from the way you were driving, I suspect it might do rather better than that.
It may well be the one that I sneak off home.
Yeah. Good. All right, let's get you into the next car.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Sounds like the base Cooper's going to put the pressure on some of the other cars we've got here today. And the next one is a 1380.
Hiya, I'm Andy Packer from East Sussex. I built this car from 1999 over a 2-year period. It's got a 1380 Swift Tune engine and produces about 100 brake horsepower.
Bob's Cooper S may be an original icon, but I reckon that from now on sheer muscle is going to play a part in which cars impress as Ultimate Minis. As with many of the cars we're going to see today, externally, Andy's Mini looks essentially standard. 10-inch wheels really emphasise the Mini's classic appeal, while fat rubber and a checker flag detailing on the bonnet are the only things to hint at this being an Ultimate Mini. Inside, Corbeau buckets offer Andy the vital support he needs when giving this car a damn good thrashing. While a rev counter and other ancillary gauges are another handy addition. Once again, this is another understated engine, without the glitz and glam of show cars. It's just delivering a good, solid performance. There are also a few sensible upgrades beyond the engine, such as this alloy rad and an upgraded ignition system. So here's a popular capacity upgrade that's a must for any serious A-Series lover. Let's see how Bill gets on with it. This looks a little bit more serious. Already it's easy to see that Andy's car is pulling really hard. The extra torque of that 1380 engine is paying dividends through Kerbera's tight corners. The A-Series has been built by performance specialist SwiftTune. And having been in the car for a couple of years now, it looks as though it's running really sweetly. Whoopsie, steady on, Bill. Underneath the car, Andy has fitted all the usual upgrades, but he's paid particular attention to things like corner weights, ride height, camber and tracking. They're all skills learnt through his hobby as a race car preparation specialist. It certainly looks as though Bill's able to fully exploit this car on the track. Well, it's a 1380, should be a different experience. Let's find out. Bill, bigger capacity, 1380cc, more power, more, better?
Faster, certainly, and more of a sort of competition basis to the car, I would say. Exciting to drive.
Yeah.
Nicely balanced, very old tyres.
Oh, really?
So not a lot of rear end grip.
Yeah.
Unusually for the Mini, this one oversteers, so you turn in with a normal amount of sort of pace, and the rear's inclined to let go a little bit.
But you know this car, don't you?
Yes, Andy, who built this car, I trust him a great deal. He tightens up my wheel nuts and things like that.
So
on
you're
my
not
race
biased,
cars.
I hope?
No, I'm not biased. No, I give him more stick probably than I would do anyone else. But no, he's very diligent with the work that he does. He's very careful, and he's put together a really nice car here.
So this is a good car, good road car or good track car?
I think you could use it very effectively for both purposes. Certainly on the road, perfectly behaved. Very nice 1380 engine that, you know, pulls from very low revs, drives smoothly, easily, holds sensible temperatures and pressures. So yeah, it's an easy-going engine. You could use the engine for any purpose, but it's lively enough to make it exciting for the track. So you could turn up and do sprints and hill climbs in this all the time.
So a good contender, really?
I would say so, yes.
Excellent. Let's get you into the next car. It's going to be a bit different.
Okay.
Well, the next one is 160 brake horsepower bike engine. Quite a different thing altogether.
Hi, my name's Lee Oliver. I'm from Hertfordshire. I built this car with Z Cars. The car's got a Yamaha R1 engine producing 160 horsepower.
At first glance, this car looks deceptively unassuming, which is always the best way to approach things if you want to surprise people. You might easily think this was just another lovingly prepared Mini, but walk round the back and the boot lid may surprise you, because there's an exhaust sticking out the middle of it. Inside the cockpit, a homemade dash arrangement is something many of us are used to seeing, although the instrument cluster is a bit unusual, featuring a rev counter which runs out of steam at 13,000 RPM and only a digital speedo. A quick glance under the bonnet will reveal an aluminium radiator, but not a lot else. But it's in the boot where you'll find the hardware, 160 brake horsepower Yamaha R1 bike engine and a 6-speed sequential gearbox.
red line then? Funny?
Well, the red line's just after 10, 10 and a half.
Okay.
You've got a rev limiter at 11.8 anyway.
Lovely. Okay. And it's 1 forward and then
5 back.
5 back. Okay.
Oh, wow. Not only can you see how quick this car is, but it sounds like no other Mini you've ever heard before. Just listen to that bike engine scream. The R1 engine will happily rev to 11,500 RPM. And you can hear Bill zipping up and down through that 6-speed sequential gearbox. It must be a pretty amazing experience. Of course, being rear-wheel drive must also be a pretty unique experience in a Mini. Not only because of the typical rear-wheel drive sideways antics, but also the complete lack of torque steer in the front steering, something that most big engine Minis suffer from. Lee Oliver went to see bike engine installation specialist Z-Cars, where the company essentially cut out the back end of the Mini and fabricated a brand new engine cradle, which also forms part of the complete interior roll cage and rear suspension location. Complete with new trailing arms, an anti-roll bar and adjustable coilover dampers, the new suspension keeps everything under control, while a superbike engine and gearbox does the job of making this Mini sound and go like nothing else. I think this could be quite interesting. Bill, that sounded a bit different.
Yes, it's got a subtle difference. The engine's in a different place.
Yeah. Bike engine, what's it like? Let's start with the bike engine itself.
Well, it feels fantastically light and willing to rev, obviously. You've got the sequential shift as well for the gearbox. So it totally transforms the acoustics of the car and the sort of sensations. It is still a Mini, though, to drive.
Which is amazing when you say it's got a 6-speed sequential gearbox, it's bike engine, and it's driving the rear wheels, of course.
Yes, indeed.
Now, what's that like when it's driving the rear wheels? Surely that must change it quite noticeably.
It does. It makes it a huge fun factor car. You don't have to go very fast at all to get the thing out of line.
Yeah.
The beauty of it is it's still controllable. Strangely, no, in fact, understandably, it's exactly as you would expect a rear-wheel drive car to be, but that means it's completely opposite to a front-wheel drive Mini as it would normally be. So I would have expected to have found this something of a handful. Yeah. In contrast, though, I think the weight distribution, of course, the engine is, although it's behind me, it's full with the rear wheels. The weight distribution is good, and it's a beautifully balanced car.
So it works well.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we've got something a bit different for you next time.
Thank you.
Next up, it's a 1460.
Hi, my name's Andy Royal. I'm from Leicestershire. It took me 4 years to build this car. It's powered by an A-Series 1460 race engine and it produces 154 horsepower.
Based around a minus fiberglass mini shell, Andy Royal's Mini takes no prisoners. Fat arches and the de-seamed look only give the merest whiff of what this car is capable of. At every level, Andy has looked at what he has fitted and made sure it's of the very best quality. Inside, it takes on a more serious race-orientated style, and indeed Andy aims to compete in the car as well as enjoying the occasional mad blast on the street. Everywhere you look, there's just beautiful attention to detail on this car, which goes some way to explaining how it took Andy 4 years to complete. "1460 is about as far as you can go with the original A-Series lump, And built by engine specialist SwiftTune, it should be a real gem. 154 bhp, rips onto the tarmac via a 4-speed Quaife dogbox. And it could just be that the extreme specification of both the engine and gearbox play against this car in terms of delivering the ultimate road Mini we're looking for. Certainly looks impressive though.
Now, what's the red line in this one?
Red line 7,800.
Right, fine.
2 rev limiters there and there.
Yeah. Nice simple instrumentation, like the dashboard. That's
Yeah.
good.
With 154 bhp on tap, this car isn't far off the R1 motorbike engine machine Bill's just got out of. But I'm sure it's going to deliver a completely different driving experience. In fact, it immediately looks lower and more purposeful through the bends, and that 1460 engine really sounds the part. You can tell it's an A-series, but it somehow sounds deeper and more evil than anything I've ever come across before. As well as all the usual front-end suspension upgrades, this car also has an anti-roll bar. While out back, there's a one-off lightweight beam axle to replace the Mini's cumbersome subframe. Add in huge CAD 6-pot front brake calipers and vented discs, and the suspension setup on this car is about as extreme as you can go, especially in a road-legal machine. Bill, that looks sensational.
Yeah, that really is something else.
That's a big capacity A-series, 1460.
Yep.
How does that go?
It's remarkably good. It's lovely to have an A-series engine. You feel as though it's in the right place. It sounds right.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Very strong. From low down, it pulls with good grunt. Lovely torque. Fantastic.
Handles well?
Beautiful. I mean, this is a race car for the road, really.
Yeah,
I'm not
really.
so sure it'd be great in the sort of the roads of today, but on this surface here, absolutely fantastic.
Of course, it's a fiberglass shell as well.
Yes, it smells different.
Yeah.
It sounds slightly different when you're
Really,
inside
yeah,
it, but
yeah.
you know, other than that though, it still feels like a Mini.
And this is a meticulously finished car.
Just stunning. The time that's gone into this is unbelievable. Every tiny detail. It's a credit to its own. Fantastic.
Brilliant. Okay, well, we've got something a little bit more familiar for you now.
Okay.
It's Bill's Racer. Okay, well, we've seen all these road cars in action, but what is a race car? How's that different? Here's Bill's car, and hopefully he can show us around it. Bill, looks like a Mini to me. It's another one, except loads of stickers on.
Yes, could say that. There are differences. Curly carbon fibre, wings, front panel, bonnet,
Okay.
boot lid.
So this is all carbon fibre?
Indeed. High strength, low weight,
Okay.
exactly the same shape
Yeah.
still.
Yeah, of course.
Wheels and tyres, we've got slick tyres here,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
no tread pattern on the
Right.
tyres, but enormous level of grip once they're warm.
Yeah.
Still on a 10-inch wheel, but it's
Yeah.
7 inches wide.
Yeah, terrific. Okay.
Obviously the car is low. Here I am.
You're right. It is.
Standard body shell, but we've lowered the suspension extensively to give good handling, so
Right.
very low in itself. The windows, polycarbonate windows,
Yeah.
silicon coated hard screen.
Even the screen, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So again, that's to get weight out of the car and significantly weight from the upper part of the car, which helps to bring the centre of gravity down.
Fantastic. Well, what about inside? Okay, Bill, what have we got inside then?
A great deal of work has gone on in here, obviously. The roll cage, first of all, enormous structure,
Yeah, it
very,
is.
very high strength. It's there to protect the driver and also enhance chassis in terms of added stiffness.
All right,
so,
okay. Yep.
you feel that you're very, very safe sitting in this. Sitting a very long way back.
A very long way back.
That
yeah.
gets me comfortable in the car. I'm nicely positioned back from the pedals. The steering column has been bespoke made for me so that I'm comfortable driving the car.
Fine, yeah.
Instrumentation wise,
Yeah.
stacked dash panel there. The only thing I've really got to look at is the tacho. Everything else is monitored and
Yeah.
alarms come up if anything goes out of
Okay,
parameter. So
yeah.
I'm relieved of the burden of checking things.
Yeah.
That's really good. You can see the gear shift, for example, standard mini gear shift, but moved inside here to get it up and out of the
And then
way.
what's all this?
Fire extinguisher there, mandatory. That can be released from outside the car or by me from inside.
Yeah, and then this box of tricks?
Switch box, so main isolator switch, all of the circuitry is terminated in there.
Fantastic.
Batteries in here.
Right.
ECU that runs the
Okay.
ignition system behind the seat there.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Let's have a look under the engine bay.
Okay. Okay, bonnet secured by pins. They're attached, so you can't lose them.
Yeah.
There we have it.
Well, now that looks like an A series to me, but
is,
I imagine there's
it
a bit more
is.
to it than that.
Developed to its ultimate form, normally aspirated, I would say. 1293 cc's, EM40B crankshaft, steel con rods, forged pistons, ultimate cylinder head. The man hours that go into making one of those
Yeah.
don't bear thinking about. 45 DCOE, ram air, cold air system.
Yeah. Cool.
Weber Alpha ignition system, no distributor.
wow, yeah.
Bespoke alloy radiator to optimise the cooling efficiency.
Now, this doesn't sound like a road-going engine to me.
It isn't. No, it's not a road-going engine. It's derived from that, but
Yeah.
it's tuned to the ultimate degree, really.
And what sort of power is it putting out?
140 horsepower.
Fantastic. I look forward to you
exciting.
driving this later on.
Okay.
Sounds good. Great.
Smashing.
We've already seen that Bill's car is a little different from any conventional road car, but it's also instantly obvious that he's really at home in his racer and pushing it harder than any of the road cars we've seen so far. While 145 bhp doesn't sound as though it's going to scare many of the Ultimate Minis we've gathered here today, it's the A-Series delivery that makes it special. Power really comes on song above 4,000 RPM before bulleting on up to its stratospheric rev limit. But once in this rich vein of energy, and when allied to closely grouped gears via a racing specification gearbox, this Mini Miglia's acceleration is utterly amazing. And then there are other reasons why this 145 bhp racer is likely to be the fastest car around the circuit. First off, don't forget that this car is running slick tyres, which give it phenomenal performance and grip through the corners. Just look how it lifts an inside wheel at almost every opportunity. And then there's the suspension, which which will be considerably firmer than you'd ever come across on a road car, but which works perfectly on the ultra-smooth surfaces of most racetracks. Combined with all the other aspects of this utterly focused track car, it allows Bill to accelerate faster, brake harder, corner more quickly, and generally maximises performance on the track. It's certainly the ultimate Mini in one respect, but perhaps not when it comes to our brief to find the perfect fast road Mini. Bill, I suspect you're more at home here.
Yeah, this is my office seat. I'm comfortable.
Well, tell me a bit more about that. Why is that an issue?
I have noticed today that in all of the cars, my shoulders, for example, my neck now are killing me, and it's not because of the grip that they're generating, and therefore the forces I'm having to deal with. It's simply because I myself am not comfortable in those cars. I'm reaching for the wheel. I'm having to use sort of body strength to hold my posture correct in the car. And of course, to race properly, you need to be in a seat where, first of all, you're very, very well supported, as I am here. I'm properly harnessed in, so literally I'm just sitting here comfortably, relaxed, dealing with the business of playing the steering wheel.
In fact, you'd think these cars, all the cars that we've got for you, would be more comfortable to drive, but the reality is your hardcore racer is the better environment.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. In order for a race driver to perform correctly, he's got to be totally comfortable and relaxed sitting in the seat. So it's a high area of concentration when you're building the car. I'm a long way further back, and that's because the pedal's in the same place, but my legs are nice and out straight. The steering wheel's been extended, so it's nicely here, so I'm just comfortably working away with it. And today has illustrated to me really well the benefit that it brings.
But not a road car.
Oh crikey, no. No, this is so far removed. I mean, it's developed to the ridiculous extent, really. I mean, yes, any chance of using it in a practical application is zero.
Why is that, though? Presumably you could put a better seat in it, and obviously you're running slicks here, but you could put some normal tyres on it. Why not then just use it on the road?
Two things. The engine has been developed to such an extent that it delivers stunning horsepower in the 6,000 to 8,000 RPM bracket. It's never under 6,000 RPM on the circuit. Consequently, trying to sort of pull away from the traffic lights will be very painful indeed. The other thing is the suspension development. There's about 10 mil bump travel in this car. So literally manoeuvring around the paddock, I'm jumping over all the bumps, and you need to be onto the super smooth tarmac surface to actually keep the car in contact with the ground.
But out on the circuit here, a car you can really use.
Oh, absolutely awesome! Yeah.
Fantastic.
I mean, I've driven it for years and years, but every time I get in it, it's just wow! It's such a buzz.
Well, I'm sorry, it's back to road cars next.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Matt Woods from Suffolk. I own a 1300 A Series Turbo. It's currently producing 224 bhp. I have the power graph to prove it.
Matt's car looks wonderfully subdued. In fact, it's a real stealth fighter, lacking any of the obvious trinkets you'd expect from a car that boasts what is almost certainly the most extreme A-Series turbo in the country. From the tiny 10-inch wheels with their plastic arches to the chrome bumpers and utterly standard bodywork, it's an ordinary car to look at. Only the bonnet vents hinted anything unusual. The interior of this car is also clean, tidy, but without wishing to be rude, largely unexceptional. But there are clues, such as the two buttons on top of the gear knob. They signify big trouble. The 224 bhp pumped out by the blown A-Series isn't a figment of Matt's imagination, but as you've already witnessed, the confirmed results of regular rolling road sessions. This car bites. Of course, getting these levels of power from an A-Series isn't for the faint-hearted. There's a T3 turbo under the bonnet, along with other big bills such as Omega pistons and a modified MED crankshaft. A monstrous aluminium intercooler sits up front behind the grille and keeps the turbo operating at optimum temperature. This is about as extreme as it gets. since there's plenty of potential for blowing this engine straight through the bonnet. Matt gives the car a quick warm-up, and us a show of his future intent. And just before Bill gets in, oh my goodness, that's gotta hurt, isn't it? And then Matt takes Bill out for a brief sortie, and with full boost applied, it's a frightening machine. Now this is going to be really interesting to see how Bill gets on, because throwing 225 brake horsepower through the front wheels of a Mini has got to create some torque steer issues. Pretty wisely, it looks as though Bill is taking things easy to start with as he tries to get to grips with this quite extraordinary machine. With serious levels of lag to deal with, getting the turbo to spool up at the right point in any given corner is critical to getting the best from this car. Now we're getting somewhere. Bill's really pushing on now. Whee! And it looks as if the cameraman's struggling to keep up with Matt's mad machine. This is more like it. Looks as if Bill's really settling in now. See it kicking in as he goes up the straight there. This is really quite a serious machine. Now that looked interesting. Bill, shouldn't think you've driven too many cars like that.
That's like a bomb going off. That is amazing. Yes.
225 brake horsepower, that's a pretty serious bit of kit.
Yeah, absolutely remarkable, yes, yes, phenomenal.
Purely quick?
I mean, there's other things to it. Obviously, you can actually drive it slowly, which is, it's a proper Jekyll and Hyde. You can poodle along smoothly, turbo's doing nothing, everything's normal. And then you nail it, wait for a little while, the turbo gives you the most enormous kick.
Is this going to be the most sort of extreme turbo variant that you can get? I mean, 225 brake horsepower.
Yeah, I think that's a level to which I didn't imagine an A-Series could be taken. The fact that Matt has managed to make the transmission stand it all, I think is remarkable.
And I don't think there's going to be another car like it in the UK, certainly.
No, I would think not, no.
Brilliant, absolutely sensational. Come on,
Superb.
We'll go and get you in another car.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nigel Parks, I'm from Cheshire. I bought my car with Bob Oliver. He converted it to a Honda VTEC in 2002 and it's got 165 brake horsepower.
I don't know what Bill's going to make of this car, but I have to say that it's one of my favourites. There's nothing flash about this Clubman whatsoever, and it even has the original 1981 BL paint job. It's just another reasonable condition Clubman. The only clue to its stealth performance are the Rover Metro alloys. Even in the cabin it looks essentially dull. Transplanted Metro seats are going to give reasonably adequate side support, and only the homemade dash hints at anything out of the usual. Like almost everything else about this car, it's neat, uncluttered and understated. Look, there's even the original brown carpet and door cards. Can this really be an Ultimate Mini? Pop the bonnet and this is what you get. There are so few visible wires or unsightly plumbing that you almost wonder whether it's actually a working engine at all. Of course, its visual simplicity gives few clues as to the actual work involved in making it look this clean and uncluttered. This is a masterpiece of understatement. I really think this could be the best sorted car here. The Honda VTEC is a cracking engine, and it'll only be a case of whether or not the suspension has been set up well to see if Bill thinks it's a winner. You can really hear that VTEC scream as Bill flies up through the 5-speed gearbox, which is, of course, a complete novelty for most Mini owners. The 1600cc Honda VTEC is currently the in-vogue engine upgrade for Minis, and it's easy to see why. It's a far smaller unit than the previously popular Vauxhall twin cab, and it looks sensational. Also delivers an effortless 165 brake horsepower from an engine that'll rev to well over 8,000. A typical conversion seems to cost around 3,500 to 4,000 by the time you add new engine management system, a modified Rover Metro subframe, and other ancillaries to the basic second-hand engine and gearbox. While that may sound expensive, it's really not that bad when you consider the specification and remember the 5-speed gearbox is included in the price. I reckon it'll be one of the cheapest engines we've seen on the circuit all day. Underpinning the suspension upgrade is the modified Metro subframe with specially developed springs and dampers, while out back you'll find the standard Clubman subframe with adjustable camber brackets. So could this be the perfect fast road Mini setup? A car with effortless power from a largely standard engine, a 5-speed gearbox, and genuine everyday practicality. Well, this could be the car. Now, this is one of my favourites, Bill. How did you find it?
Yeah, I'd say this is a contender, no doubt at all.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Quite something.
Honda VTEC, how does it work?
Well, clearly the engine is a joy. It's got that kind of 2 stages of operation, which are seamless in a way, but you just suddenly realise that now we're going really fast. It's all very smooth. What you'd expect of a Japanese engine, beautifully simple and just very
5-speed, of course.
5-speed, yes, yeah. The ratios are very, very nice indeed. It's all quite nice and close together. So yeah, I mean, it's just very good.
And an easy, low maintenance package as well, because you've got engine management. It's all, it's all there.
Just jump in, pull the belt on, fire it up, off we go, and you can just be driving normally. And then you feel like extending it a little, and it's just there instantly.
How about the handling of it, though? How does that work?
Actually, I feel that that's a weakness. Unusually, this has got a K-series front subframe, so it's got K-series Metro type running gear, and it really feels like that. It's not really, doesn't feel like it's got a lot of casters. There's not much weight in the steering, so the kind of characteristics that you expect aren't there. And initially, that makes me feel slightly suspicious. In fact, it's not at all bad. But it doesn't have the character that you expect of a Mini because fundamentally, it's missing. But interesting.
But a good road car.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. No, this. I guess perhaps this is the way Rover should have gone with it.
Yeah. And of course, equally looking for the Ultimate Mini, Nigel, who owns the car, runs it every day as well.
Yeah, well, that speaks volumes in itself. Yeah,
Yeah, it does. Cracking. Good car. Let's get you into the next one.
Thank you.
One more car to go. Let's see how he gets on. This is Jack Frost, and he's the owner of Whole Shot Racing, a motorbike outfit which specialises in high-performance tuning of bike engines. This car was developed in tandem with Z cars, and the turbocharged engine produces no less than 400 brake horsepower. So many of the cars we've looked at are what I'd call stealth cars. Cars which look essentially standard to the casual onlooker, but which deliver an anything but standard driving experience. Apart from the large 13-inch alloys, this rather tired-looking Silver Mini is utterly unnewsworthy from the outside. In fact, it looks a bit rough. Look inside this machine, and things become a bit more sinister. We've got some serious competition bucket seats in here, and harnesses to hold the driver really tight. And then there are some odd-looking instruments, as well as another gauge, which is reading turbo boost pressure. Up front, we've got another Mini which seems to have misplaced its engine, with only a radiator and fuel tank in its place. And yet again, we find it relocated to behind the driver in a true mid-engine configuration. This Whole Shot developed Hayabusa pumps out 400 brake horsepower, but the company already has a bike producing over 600 bhp.
Okay, Jack. You ready to go? Yeah.
Well, the first thing you can instantly see about this car is how high it's riding, and as a consequence, how it's rolling quite noticeably through the corners. That's going to slow Bill up, no doubt about that. Having said which, well, he's losing on the twisty bits. He's sure making up down Kerber's short main straight. Just look at that machine go. And putting power down through the rear wheels makes for a completely different handling experience. If the other cars in this test were tempted to lift an inside rear tyre, this car does the same up front. Of course, it's all very well being able to accelerate like nothing else on Earth, but you've also got to stop equally effectively, and thankfully there are 4-pot AP Racing calipers on this car. Whoa, there's some good flames coming out there, and that's a typical turbo installation. In fact, this machine is so sensational that I'm just going to let you watch it. I can really get the impression Bill's settling into this car now. Trying to get every ounce of power out of that machine. All 400 brake horsepower, flat out. Sensational stuff. That takes some real beating. So is this going to be our Ultimate Mini? Let's find out. Well, what can I say? That, yeah, well,
It's rather fast.
that looked
It
a little
gets
bit
up
quick.
and goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that is big power, 400 bhp supposedly.
Yeah.
That's got to be something, isn't it?
It feels like it, yeah. The only thing I can tell you is when the turbo winds itself up, all of a sudden I go from being here to over there, just like that. You're up there, and pull another gear in, and then you're up there again. It's just incredible.
Sensational. You've not even got a rear bulkhead in this. I mean, it must be really noisy.
I feel like I'm living with the engine. Yeah, I'm part of it.
Amazing. But I noticed it's also got the bike instruments and everything in here. I mean, it really is a bike engine car.
Yes. The guys they're bike people, and they've brought their bike technology and put it in this Mini.
One has to ask, it's fairly mental at 400 brake horsepower.
Yeah.
A road car?
No, not really. Not a practical road car, obviously not. I mean, very clearly not. But a Mini like no other I've ever driven before. Stunning performance.
Yeah.
There is a degree of practicality about the engine as well. You can put it along, you can change gear inside, the turbo coming in and doing its bit, and everything's sort of fine and dandy. But
so it's certainly an ultimate Mini in one sense of the word.
Yeah. Stunning performance. I don't have the ability to express to you. You need to be in here when it's all going off to
Fantastic.
see what happens.
All right, cheers, Bill.
Great.
That's us done.
Cheers.
Okay, Bill, I don't think you've ever driven so many different Minis in one day.
It's been busy.
Yeah, I think it has.
I'm aching.
I bet you have. Okay, well, let's think back over the cars that we've driven. We started with a Cooper S, Bob Oliver's Cooper S. Pretty sweet.
Fantastic. Love that car.
Yeah, very neat, very tight, I thought. Excellent.
For me, that's why it all happened. So that's a great starting point.
Really was our benchmark car.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, then we had Andy's 1380.
Yeah.
Really neat machine.
Yeah, with Andy, of course, very nicely put together.
Yeah.
Very creditable because that's an inexpensive car. I think that's something which anybody could look at and go, I could have a go at doing that. No disrespect to Andy's skills, but he's not an enormous budget. He's chosen a lot of very nice styling details, and he's put it together well.
Fantastic. Then we had Lee's R1 bike car. That's a bit manic, isn't it?
Yeah, fabulous. As a deviation from normal Mini principles, quite remarkable.
And the bike fitment sort of seems to work quite neat and tidy, isn't it, in the back?
Yeah, it goes in well. As a package overall, it's great, and it's such fabulous driving dynamics, The car's all over the place, and somehow I still was in control. So it must
Brilliant.
be good.
An exciting machine.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Then we had Andy Royal's 1460, a beast.
Oh yeah. I've taken to this car big time. This is
I think we all
a
have.
street racer.
Yeah.
And particularly for the amount of time and effort that the individual has put into it. It's his own blood, sweat and tears. Very unique, fabulous car.
An awesome
really
machine.
something else. And it's A-Series, that counts a bit for me.
Then we had a fairly rough old car. It was your racer, wasn't it?
Yes. yeah.
And that's pretty good. It must have been nice to
Fairly
get back
familiar
home
with that.
almost.
Yes, I mean, totally unsuitable for road use, as we've said already. But it just kind of illustrates what can be done if you
true.
go to the nth degree.
Yeah, of course. Okay, but not a road car. Then we got Matt Wood's Turbo, 225 brake horsepower.
Yeah, scared me silly.
Yeah.
That was with Matt driving. No, great car. Quite an achievement.
A real
Just to have been
dragster.
able to have done that with it, made it reliable. It performed perfectly all day for us.
Yeah, true.
I thought that was outstanding.
That's a
achievement.
sensational machine, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Then we had Nigel Park's VTEC. Now that's got to be a big contender, isn't it?
Yeah. I think you take to that big time.
I do.
And I'm led by you on that. I think perhaps the fact that he just did everything in such a non-fussy way, maybe it's passed me by. I've not given that quite enough thought and credit, perhaps, because it doesn't figure at the top of my list. Maybe it's because it's not A-Series and it's also not Mini front suspension, so it hasn't got quite a Mini feel about driving it.
Okay.
Disappointing that, but nonetheless I still look at it and think maybe that's where Rover should have taken Mini.
Yeah, true enough. Okay, then we go to something completely barking mad. We've got that whole shot car.
Yeah, amazing. I've never been propelled at such a rate of knots. Amazing, yeah.
And it looked like it.
Yeah. The openings, doing all this. It's
All right.
busy.
Now we've got to ask at the end of it. Our brief at the beginning of this was to find the perfect fast road Mini.
Yeah.
Have we found it? Have you got any top spots?
Me being me, no, I suppose. I've got a couple of contenders.
Yeah.
Bob's Cooper S. I can't get that out of my mind.
Yeah.
And this car.
Yeah.
These two, but I still think Lee's the bike engine car
bike engine.
is fantastic. And I feel a bit bad, leaving out the other 5. But those are the 3 for me. You won't make me decide finally. Although
Well, we
perhaps
might
you
do.
would. If you want to push me, then I'll have this one
All right.
because it's a bit of me,
Okay.
and I'll have to stomach the fuel bill and the difficult rides down to Sainsbury's.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it. It's the Ultimate Mini.
Hello. That felt really knobbish.
Too knobbish.
The thing is, what you got to remember is I've got to endure this, right? So if you let me down, Harmer, there's going to be trouble. It work around this kind of a circuit, so obviously some of its limitations are exposed in that sense, but in terms of the outright performance, quite remarkable.
Yeah.
I'll put mine on silent, Harmer.
That's really good.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Let's do it again then, yeah?
Oh yeah. Definitely.
You mean that take wasn't perfect? Oh! All right. Cheers, Bill.
Great.
That's us done.
Cheers.
Here as well to keep it all cool.
Alloy radiator, yes, yeah, improved efficiency.
Yeah.
Everything has been. This is rubbish. It's playing havoc with my hairstyle, you know, all this static. You can hear things that don't
Just moving.
You can't hear inside a normal Mini, but there we are.
Well, I can't think of anything else to say actually. Sorry. So buckle up as we find the UK's Ultimate Mini. I can't keep it still. You've got to cut quick. I can't keep a straight face for much longer.
500 horsepower.
You're not very happy about it.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That is f***ing absolutely mega sensational. Run out of exclusive